down any questions that I think we will have about 15 minutes of time to discuss some questions as well. And I want to take this chance to introduce ARPA, Asia Regulatory Professionals Associations. We are a 10 years old organization now with more than 4,600 members. And we aim to raise the standard and social recognition of regulatory professionals in Asia. And you can see our LinkedIn, email address, and also the latest website. We just recently revamped our website, so we can go to this arpaedu.com. Here you can see more information, and we are building up more later. So I think you will see we have many texts and more information will be coming like that. And I also highly recommend to join our free membership that you can get the regulatory news, education update. If you're interested to speak in our university network or course, please feel free to let us know. We will have a selection or take there. We're also doing some different kinds of advisory role. So if you're interested, please also let us know. We are creating a Singapore MedTech chapter. So a lot of members are telling us they would like to have some kinds of face-to-face meeting, gathering, casual catch-up like that. So you can sign up for this MedTech chapter as well. And again, we have more webinars and training coming up. And by cooperating with BCS, actually we are developing a European regulatory update in the coming weeks as well as one of the series. And we are also developing a distributor webinar, how to work with or select or get buy-in from a MedTech distributor like that, etc. There are many interesting webinar is coming up. So please feel free to sign up for this free membership, arpaedu.com. Okay, that's the topics today. And number one, to some of the colleagues, maybe they are new to RA. So I would like to explain what is this RA and their importance as a first topic. And then I would like to go through briefly the global regulatory system. How does it work? How does it compare or different from the US and European market? And where to find the regulatory information, tools like that. So if after you understand this is what RA do, this is the RA system, how it works, and then next step I also want to share about the soft skills, because RA is not that straightforward. That there's a requirement, you follow it, then you get approval. Not like that. There's a lot of soft skill involved to be a good RA job, to do a good RA job. Or maybe there's lots of soft skills to manage a RA department or manage a RA projects as well. Because I know that today we have a lot of participants. They are coming from as an entrepreneur, startup, etc. So maybe you have a lot of RA challenge, by talking to your RA team, or maybe by talking to the regulator. You sometimes find you stuck. Everything I propose is no, cannot do it. What should I do? That kinds of thing. So that would be some skill we'd like to share as well. Okay, let's go for the first topic about is what is the RA role and the importance. I think one thing I always let the team aware is RA in MedTech. Again, today I want to stress our topic will be focused on MedTech sector. But the team, if any team member they're interested to learn about MedTech in food, in pharmaceutical, biotech, etc., please feel free to let us know, BCS team know, then we may organize more. But today, 1 hour time, maybe we will focus on the MedTech part. And in terms of MedTech, every steps have regulations. It's not like you go to a business to sell soft drinks, selling a toy. Because the product we are selling have quite a big impact to the people life, to their health. If something goes wrong, people may die, like that. It's not like, the toys, other thing. So that is a critical product, important product, like the mask, etc. So That's why there's so many regulations controlling it. And that's why as an entrepreneur, please understand, you are dealing with a business like that. And that may be good news because it creates some sort of entry barrier. Not everyone can easily just, okay, I develop a medical device, let's sell it tomorrow. Like that. They need to have some good quality control, good product efficacy, safety data, etc. But let me go through briefly, when we say many regulation, what kinds of regulation you need to deal with? It's like every steps of your life cycle, product life cycle. When you do clinical trial, you need to get approval. You just cannot suddenly test on animal or human like that. When you want to do, once your data may be good, want to do product registrations, of course you need to get approval. And then after it's done, importation, there are all sorts of regulation, additional testing sometime. And then when you're doing the test, doing the registrations, or even after the registrations, there's some local testing requirement so that they need to pass the local standard. For example, in China, in Japan, they have their own, local industry standard that you need to follow. And then, okay, finally your product arrived the market. Wow, you need to do some promotion. Again, you cannot just say anything you like. There's a related regulation, guidance document to regulate. Something you can say, something you cannot, like that. And sometimes you may have a worse event, somebody, have got injury, using the product, etc. You have a very strict timeline or requirement that you need to follow as well, But by understanding this, if you haven't done it properly, you don't follow the timeline required by the adverse event, you make the claims a little bit, over the borderline, etc. The dangerous part about regulatory is you will end up stop selling now or tomorrow, like that. So that's why regulatory is something not only critical, but dangerous, because you may have a very strong business development marketing team that help you to get market share. But if you have a weak RA partner or management, your risk is stop selling now because you don't meet the requirement. You have this report event you don't meet, and the promotional claims, you make some claims, and then your competitor look at that. My God, this company infringe some requirement. They will report to the regulator. Then you need to take your product off the shelf like immediately. So you can imagine it's pretty nightmare if you get into so-called regulatory trouble. But you'll be really competitive advantage if you master the regulatory knowledge in some sense, because you can get your registration quicker. I don't know why my competitor, my registration takes so long, and my competitor launch next week. How they do that? That is something I want to share today. And then, how come they can say anything? It seems they are good. Nobody challenge them. Anything I say, I got complaint. How come not so unfair, etc. So, if you understand the regulatory, you twist the wording, you manage your work process system better, there are many good stuff, competitive advantage there you can enjoy. So, it's a very strategic role in a company. So if you're working in a regulatory, I think you've got some tips now how to increase your salary. Okay, tell your boss that you are so important and also so dangerous, maybe. Okay, so I know that in a webinar setting, people easily fall asleep or they may get bored like that. So let's have some stretching or exercise like that. I would like to do a simple pulling or survey, from your angle. Regulation role impact which aspect? So please feel free to pick one of the square here as a quite warm-up exercise. So I think I will let the organizer post it. I think you should see the post now, and then I think the result will come up very soon. My God, I think this is a good start. 92% think we can impact on all these things. I think new product launch definitely agree, because it's a new registrations. Registration approval we are talking about. Clinical trial, if no approval, we cannot start. Promotion, yes, we need to follow guidance. Even supply chain, because when products are being distributed in the market, we have some labeling requirement that we need to follow. Some temperature control, maybe, etc. So the supply chain, we need to really work with them to make sure our products are distributed, stored in the right condition, like that. And of course, supply chain also want to know our product launch time so that they can start the production phase or label generation phase and then the launch. And that's why, of course, supply chain is important and we will impact their job a lot. And quality control, of course, because if an adverse event, product recall, etc., patient information leaflet is not clear, all that kind of thing, we need to work with quality team very closely. Compliance, I think everybody know. So you can see again, that's another slide. I want to reinforce to the team that regulatory team or colleague is not very lonely department. That you only do your submission, approval, then your job done. You celebrate. Supply chain is not my title. Quality control another department. I finished my job. I can go home now and celebrate my registration approval. My experience so far, no. You really need to work with the whole team. It's a holistic approach to make the success of your product launch, including the clinical team, marketing, supply chain, quality control, compliance colleague, etc. Virtually the whole team. So that's why you can see you are very, integrated and impact many departments. Okay, to make life more challenging and maybe to give more reason to increase your salary, maybe is, even though all the regulation, not easy already, but the next part is, okay, what the regulation, because let me pause here, is to know all the regulation, not easy. Not many government, like Singapore HSA, you can go to their website, you found their regulation. If you don't understand, they have a guidance document for you, and they're all in English, you can understand. HSA to me is one of the world standard in terms of their website. But if you go to many other country website, it's not like that. I don't want to name a country, but sometimes country is in other language. In Vietnamese, in Korean, in whatever other language. It's not that friendly. Sometimes you're already stuck on the first phase. What is the requirement? I don't even know. That's one challenge. Okay, even though you learn from someone, you learn some regulation, you go conference, etc. You learn what is the regulation. But the thing is, regulation is keep on changing. Our medtech particularly, the technology also keep on advancing. Few years ago, I think nobody heard about maybe this smart watch, smart something, AI, big data. At least 5 years ago, I think maybe nobody heard about that. Now, I think our regulator have many headaches, need to update the regulation to tackle this new advancement. Wow, my God, next year I need to worry about cyber security as well, etc., etc. So the regulation must keep on changing. And are you able to keep up today? You don't rely on your regulatory or regulation assessment like 1 year ago. That would be again risky. You may run out into a compliance problem. Okay, so even though you know the regulation and you keep yourself up to date, you exactly know what is the regulation. The next part is another expensive part of the regulatory people is the interpretation. It's like a lawyer. Every lawyer using the same book, But how come some lawyers so expensive? One of the reasons is the interpretation skill. Later on, I will share you with some example. Let's simple like a medical device definition. Everybody read definition very straightforward, right? Definition like that, everybody follow, just like that. But there's still a lot of interpretation inside. And that's why, I would say regulatory, there are a lot of possibility due to this interpretation. So that's the difficult part, the fun part of the regulatory, and I hope today you got some idea now what's the scope, importance, and the skill, important skill behind.